What is up YouTube, and welcome back to another Etheria video, and today we have a tier list for PvP for the current season of SS1. Now currently I am playing RTA somewhat. I am about top 200, top 150 right now. Not playing as much as my previous seasons, but I do plan to push a lot at the end of the season just because not really too much of a point besides doing the weeklies right now for the pass, which I think is a great addition to the game. And I do have this tier list for you guys separated into 5 tiers that are just going to rate the characters based off of their strength and honestly how often I see them and how powerful they feel even when I play against them. So at the top here we have the 100% presence characters. These characters are pick or banned every single game. Obviously there's going to be some nuances where if you're fighting a cleaver or if you're playing turn 1 versus turn 1, you might not see like Fushu and stuff like that, but for the most part it's going to be these characters are either pick or banned almost every single game. I'd say pretty much every single game, especially if there's like a bruiser player, right? Next we have the meta tier. These characters are very strong. They're going to be picked into certain situations, not as blind pickable as the 100% presence characters, but still you can blind pick them, and you're going to see that most of these characters, if not all of them, will actually have a way to play against it. The 100% presence characters, you know, these don't really have that much counterplay. The only ones I'd say that do are like Plume and Aya, but Aya is the counterplay to Plume most of the time, and the counterplay to Aya is not really existent. I think she's just a broken character, so that is the meta tier. Next we have the good tier. These characters are going to be just solid characters overall. Still very powerful. I still pick these characters a lot, especially stuff like Mizuki and Kakardi, but you're going to see that these do have a lot more of situations where they're not as strong as the meta characters, and also they do have pretty notable counter picks that can really screw them up. Then we have the niche tier. These characters are going to be mostly counter picks or in certain situations. And then we have the Cleave and CC tier, so if you guys play Cleave and CC, you're going to use these characters. And if we scroll down, we have the Help tier. These characters are just not picked or viable in PvP/RTA right now. Maybe there's one person that plays like Rosa, for example, but for the most part, you're not going to really see these characters. So we're going to start off at the top here. I'm going to just, kind of glance over the characters here, not talk about them too much in depth because, it's going to be like a 50-minute video if I do. But I'll talk about the 100% presence characters first and foremost. So Ray Mary, this character is literally Thanos. She's literally in every defense team. In fact, now that I look at it, the meta arena defense team is Ray Mary, Fushu, Plume, and Aya. These 4 characters, which is actually hilarious. I didn't even realize while making it. But yeah, self-explanatory. These characters are just super OP. They don't really have any hard counters. Ray Mary is just like the best bruiser in the game right now because she has that passive which does a ton of AoE damage, procs a million times. If you guys have Ray Mary and you fight against Ray Mary defenses, you already know like how ridiculous the game's become. But this character does it all. Amber is really strong on her. She does AoE. With Amber, she has a cheat death, she has an execute, she stops revive, she has vulnerable, a really broken debuff. I don't know why they added that to her, but that's what it is. Just really strong, really annoying. Fushu, just the best healer in the game. Whenever her S3's up, you basically can't die, which is really frustrating. Yeah, not really much to say, and she's even stronger now because she synergizes with another character in this tier, Aya, which I'll get to. And then we have Plume, really good opener. Honestly, in RTA, I don't really like playing her as a first pick right now because people just pick Fushu into it, and it's pretty hard. Like, they pick Fushu Aya into it. So I think, like, even though she's really strong, it's a weird pick to first pick right now if Fushu and Aya are both up, which is never going to happen because Ray Mary is going to be banned most of the time, pretty much every single time. So I think she is a little bit lower than Fushu, honestly, just because of how the meta has turned up, but still very strong, right? And very powerful. Aya, yeah, really ridiculous. Her S3's giga broken. I have her at 455 because she's that OP. Even if she doesn't give you that much healing, you don't really care because her S3 is just insane, and if you kill one unit, which you eventually will, and you can just focus them down, yeah, you just win the game because you're just chaining your S3s back to back with every single character, and she just works really well with the meta bruisers. So next we have the meta tier. So we'll talk about all 3 of these bruisers. You could pick them all relatively the same way. Tiamat's better versus, or the best one versus Cleave. Holden's the best one versus CC. and Rahu's the best in bruiser mirrors, but they're all very good in bruiser mirrors. They all synergize very well with all the top characters because, yeah, Fushu just makes them unkillable. They just do a ton of damage, and you don't really want to fight against a Fushu with one of these bruisers, honestly. Plume makes you just do a ton of damage into the characters with that defense down. Also, you dispel all those immunities and stuff like that for like Holden. And Aya just keeps resetting their skills, which is really good for Rahu, really good for Holden, resetting the artisans. And for Tiamat, doesn't really matter as much, but still just pairs well because you can dispel that unhealable, is that what it's called in this game? HP block, heal block in this game? Wound? Yeah, it's called wound. So you can actually stop that. So very strong characters. Next we have Lily. So Lily is just a really good complement to everything. Not as OP as last season, I think, but she's still very good. There's just other things you want to pick over her, but she's still at the top, very strong. She is pretty squishy, but if you have her on Amber, she's absolutely amazing. Don't really have to talk about her because you guys know what she does. But next we have the 3 CC units. So these, Nahor got buffed, Lilith got buffed, and Mio is just Mio, always been strong. The thing with these characters is if you pick them 4-5, like let's say your first pick, right? You first pick like a very strong character, then you pick like your 2 bruisers or whatever. You can even pick like Aya on 3 or something, and then you have 4-5 pick, right? And they didn't pick any cleansers at that point. So they picked 4 characters. They didn't pick like a Sonya or a Sylph or like Ling Luo because it's kind of hard to fit them into the draft. And let's say you stole away Aya. If you pick 2 CC characters like this, you are in a really good spot to win. I don't want to say you will win because there's RNG in this game, obviously, but these 3 characters are absolutely crazy if they go, you know, against 0 ways to dispel their debuffs, right? The block from Mio counters stuff like Amber, Raymary, Fushu, kind of Aya because Aya can dispel it off, and Tiamat. The CC just counters like everything that can't dispel it off. Nahor defense down and freeze is really OP. You know, Lilith can solo DPS, solo CC teams. So these 3 are really frustrating to play against. So yeah, you know, I'm a bruiser player, but I have 2 of these built. I will build Nahor as well, but a lot of the times I end up pivoting towards like a bruiser CC playstyle at the end, and it looks really annoying to play against, so I kind of feel bad, but it's really strong. Of course, because of that, we have the 3 cleansers. So we have Ling Luo, Sonya, and also Sylph. These characters are very good. They're going to be just really good into these CC characters, also very good into Plume, and just good in general because they give you, you know, longevity in your fights. Sylph is a new character. I think she's honestly probably the best of the 3, so I should probably put her here. The reason why is because you have so many of these defense scaling bruisers like Holden, Rahu, Mizuki even down here, and she gives you defense buff, which makes you hit really hard. Even though Rahu has one as well, and so does Mizuki, those can get dispelled off very easily by stuff like Plume, by stuff like, you know, Holden himself, even like Veronica. So because of that, she can actually cleanse off defense downs and also give you defense buff. And the other 2 healers, Ling Luo mostly for CC teams, and Sonya also right now is mostly going to be for CC teams. But you could still use her in the bruiser mirrors. She's very good. We have Celine here, very good character, disables passives. I think she's a bit overrated even after buffs, but she's still very powerful. The thing with her is you really need to invest a lot of lattice into her for her to be good, but she's really good into cleave. She struggles a lot for, you know, Heinrichs and stuff like that, stuff that can dispel off her shield versus cleave. But in Bruiser Mirrors, she's also a very solid character because her forgetfulness and crit chance down is absolutely insane. Veronica, always a solid character, can steal buffs. Not as good as before because, you know, everything's getting buffed and then Veronica never got buffed, right? And new characters come out that are just really strong, so she's fallen down a bit. Still solid though, you have to be careful because she struggles versus CC. Even though you have immunity and you could steal immunity, if you don't have a way to dispel versus these CC characters, and if you pick her early and then people pick CC, you can get screwed over because sure, she can, you know, push herself and, you know, shield, but she doesn't really do anything versus CC outside of like the first turn. Heinrich, really good. People play Bruiser Heinrich now just because block is OP, unhealable is OP. Not as good as before, I'd say, but, you know, if you're a cleave player, obviously very strong, but I put him in meta because there are some bruiser players, some psychos out there that play him now, and it seems pretty decent. And then Freya, always good for speed contesting. You can pick him as a bruiser if you have her very fast, if you want to speed contest, right? I've seen people with like 310 speed Holdens play with like Freya opener, and they can like speed contest somewhat. It's pretty insane. Very good. Doki Doki, also a meta dispeller. Not as good as before because for her, it's really weird. She is a character that's good in bruiser and good in CC comps, or good against CC comps, but she kind of has to like fully invest into F-res if you want to play her into CC, and then you make her very squishy, and then she gets one shot by stuff. So it's hard to build her to be good because she needs so many stats, but she's still very meta because you can play her on a versatile amount of playstyles, and she is good in every single like playstyle. I guess I already said that, but very strong, I think. Still a decent character. We also have the good tier now. So these characters, they're very good. I think the placement of the first one might surprise you, but I'll explain why. So we have Mizuki here. So the thing with Mizuki is that it's pretty hard to use her right now because the other bruisers, I guess it's always been the case, just kind of do more than she does. She also is very, very weak to CC and also very weak to cleave. And on top of that, even though she pairs very well with Aya's pushing, it kind of has anti-synergy because you are reducing the turn durations of your retaliation, your counterattack form. Still solid though, but every time I'm forced to pick her into a matchup, it feels kind of bad. Like it always feels like a downgrade compared to the other bruisers. So that's why I have her here, but she's still a solid pick. I think her damage is a bit lackluster, especially if you're against a Fushu. Like if you're against a Tiamat, who's like the main reason why you pick Mizuki, and they have a Fushu, you actually can't really kill through, which makes it feel pretty bad, so I have her down here. Next we have Kokardi. So this character is a good 4-5. You pick him into any bruisers. The thing is he gets countered by Viper, gets countered by Raymary, gets countered by Tiamat, gets countered by Nahor, Mio, Lilith, CC, right? So a lot of counters, but if you pick him very late and they can't really draft counters, or at least 2 counters into him, they really have to ban him because, you know, they're always scared that, you know, you're going to ban their CC, their one counter to Kokardi, and then your Kokardi is just going to go crazy, right? And Kokardi can solo carry if he doesn't get checked, so that's why he's in good. Born, very good cleave counter. You can also use him in bruisers, bruiser meta. I should probably put him in niche because I think he's more of a cleave counter nowadays, but he's still good in the bruiser metas. The thing is, he gets hard owned by CC, and the other bruisers just can live through his burst and do more damage, so we have him down here. Mia is a very good CC enabler with her S2 and her S3. She's kind of like Aya, but she has that dispel and also that turn meter pushback instead of that huge push, so that's why she's pretty good. People use her in bruiser metas as well. Honestly, you can probably put her in meta. I think a lot of people like to use her, but I think when I fight her, she seems very strong, but not a lot of people have her built. So you can honestly make the case for her being meta. Wouldn't really matter. I think it's the same thing. But yeah, the Viper is going to be in the good tier. Honestly, he's only a Kokardi counter right now. You don't really pick him like ever. You used to be able to pick him into like Lilium cleave and stuff like that, and Messiah cleave, but nowadays you have him on Golden Lion. Even if you put him on a tank setup, he gets one shot by Lilium on Tiger Yin. Yeah, he also can still die to Messiah on a tank setup, so has definitely fallen off a bit, but still a decent pick, mostly into Kokardis and when you're pinched for DPS, and if you really need that attack down debuff for some certain characters, like maybe Born and stuff like that. We also have Hazuki Mari, so she's really good in CC, so top tier CC'er, but you can also play her in bruiser matchups. Kind of similar to Nahor, Mio, and also Lilith, although she's a bit weaker because she's solely reliant on her S3 and she can have counter synergy with your team because of the healing reduction, so keep that in mind. But for CC characters or CC players, she's absolutely crazy. So now we have the niche characters. I'll talk about each of these characters' niche very quickly. Rin, anti-cleave. Tsutomu, I think his name is Tsutomu, right? He is a Tiamat counter. Hoyan is a counter to cleave if Messiah is banned, so pretty much never. Chiaki is very good against cleave as well. Valerian's also very good against cleave. And Kachi the Guard is very good against CC with Alicorn or with Reaper Steps. You just have to make sure that you don't get CC'd before you get your immunity up, and you're not against buff dispels. But he still works in those rare scenarios. And then we have the cleave and CC units. Honestly, all of them are good. I think the only ones that are not as good anymore are stuff like, you know, Kraken, Kazio, even Yelly feels a little bit weak now because nothing really dies to her. But everything else in this tier is going to be very strong for cleave and CC. So that is pretty much the tier list. I didn't want to talk about it too much. If you guys have any qualms about the tier list or think a unit should go up or down, let me know in the comments down below. And I will see you guys next video.